have joining me in the studio, Agaba Wilson is a business analyst. He joins me right here in the studio. Good morning, Mr. Agaba.
Good morning, and thank you for
I also have here in the studio as well, Aliu Ilyas is an economist as well. I must thank you, Mala Aliu Ilyas.
Thank you.
And of course, from London, I have Dr. Sam Omale, who is the president, CEO, Raw Global Investment Network. He joins us virtually from London. Good morning, Dr. Sam. All right, we hope to get Dr. Sam to join the conversation, but let's start here from the studio. Mr. Wilson, you heard that a report highlighting where Nigeria stands in this whole global trade war. Are we, facing the challenges head on, or we're going to fall behind again in global trade?
Oh, well, I was reading about the whole tariff something when the news broke, and I started checking, okay, what do we sell to these people? What do these people sell to us? And all of that. And I discovered that there's also there's already a trade, we have a deficit, imbalance between us and them. We are selling them, in 2024, we are selling them about 930 something billion, and we are buying from them about 1 point something trillion in Naira. And so for me, I wouldn't have personally, from my perspective, seen this trade war as a problem for Nigeria. I won't see it as a problem for Nigeria. Why? Because we have a lot of other opportunities and alternatives that we can explore. What is the biggest thing we export to them? Petroleum crude and petroleum gas, and then some other stuff, But these are the huge ones. And then let's ask ourselves: we have almost 250 million estimated population in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
And then we have 54 African countries. And then we signed up to the African Free Trade Zone Area Agreement recently, creating a lot more opportunities for us. I have always been an advocate of, let's saturate our market with what we need first, and then we'll start thinking of exporting. You recently heard about the issue between the NNPC and the Dangote refinery, where we have front-sold our crude, and then we came up with another flimsy excuse to no longer give local refineries crude in Naira. And that immediately impacted the masses, because Dangote have to also start selling his
crude to marketers in dollars.
And then the exchange rate component began to affect our economy. So with this current tariff, I think that instead of crying and wailing over speed media, and instead of even going to negotiate, I think we should look inward and see how can we use our resources to satisfy the local market, move to African market where we also have a leverage, and then we can come back maybe in another 4 years or 5 years time to talk to America.
All right, interesting one there. Malaliu, in your own estimation, do you think this is more like, it's going to favor Africa? Do you think it's blessing in disguise for Nigeria and, of course, by extension, the rest of Africa, this tariff, imposition by the United States?
All right, I think it's a wake-up call for Nigeria and Africa as a whole, because it's a vista of opportunity for us to actually explore. But the question is, are we ready to explore? Does it get us in a shocking manner, or we have been expecting it? So if you look at it in this manner, we're actually giving them 27% on anything we are importing. Right, and they're now saying we should pay 14%. If you look at it very well, it's somehow still balanced. So we are just looking at it from negative perspective. So for me, it's a positive externalities that we need to embrace. Now, looking at it, I think Nigeria I've seen it coming. Why did I say so? Remember, BRICS came on board because the major people that are going to solve this problem is BRICS. Because BRICS has come in and said, okay, come and be our non-permanent member. So if we can deal with BRICS that involve China, Russia, South Africa, can buy this, all what we are actually selling. And it should be to our favor. I think it's an opportunity for us to explore other buyers. And the only problem is that, are we actually industrialized? That's the question, because we need to do more production now. Now, we are not talking about one part of it. Nigerians in America will also suffer now, most of them. You know why? We actually find a way of exporting food. They did capture that very well, because people want to eat Nigerian food and what have you.
Nigerian, African food.
Exactly, African food. So people will now, in America, will now look for alternative. So those people that are using that as an advantage, people that export it and people that actually buy it and use that business, we have the problem.
But certainly, what you're saying is that the exporters are going to be affected with this tariff.
Exactly. With this
How do you think government can come in now to provide more something like a succor for them? You heard in that report.
You see, I like to go this route. I try to look at Nigeria with what is called ISO, International Standard Organization. Now, if you don't have ISO, there are some things you cannot do, and that's where we lack in Africa, especially in Nigeria. You are exporting raw yam. Somebody is bringing finished goods such as apple, and they're telling you that raw yam you are bringing must meet standard, and you must go and get that standard. I do not think Nigeria have up to 600 ISO, and if you have it, it's in laboratory. It's not in production, it's not in manufacturing, and we have not been able to do what we call import substitution, all those things. So the major thing government needs to do now is to start looking at our manufacturer inward, empower them and enable them to export standard quality. This also will help us because our mainstay is a crude oil. This will also help us to look at other things that we can actually invest in, and actually, especially where we have comparative advantage.
Mr. Wilson, there is also the talk about, he made a very valid point there. Nigerians are known to export raw materials and bring in back finished goods. What position do you think, or advantage do you think this new global trade system is going to give us? I mean, by way of leveraging on what we have, at least we can, instead of taking cocoa out and bringing Bonvita, we can indeed find a way to begin to produce them here. What do you think?
You know, I happen to be involved in a research that focused on Africans being able to utilize the WTO dispute settlement system to fix issue of market barrier. And when I started reading deep into this issue, I started seeing the problems that Africa has. We focus on Nigeria. We selected like 3 different crops. And as I was reading through, I saw that the entire rule system is skewed against Africa. All right. So when you talk about exporting raw materials, those are the things that come to mind. They will give you conditions that you can't even meet at a reasonable price. So by the time you are able to meet these conditions and you are taking it to their market, you are already at a disadvantage because of your cost of production. Now, if they slam a tariff on it, then of course you are totally non-competent in their market. So there's no use taking it there. Now, I would encourage our country that if the government wants to do anything, we have to create those conditions that makes it favorable for people to go into manufacturing. Let's add more value to the product here. The more value you add, the less hazardous it is for you to meet international standard. If you are processing grain, they will, and you can have your means of reducing the aflatoxin and all of that, they will check you out there. Rather than taking the raw grains there. Our yams, they will tell you once it is beaten by insect, once it is, all these things we eat here doesn't kill us.
Absolutely.
So we should figure out how we can encourage addition of value to our raw material.
Indeed, Africa is a country of over 1 billion people. Even if we trade amongst ourselves alone, it's enough for us to exist and survive. Indeed. Let me go to London now. Dr. Sam Omale joins me virtually. Good morning, Dr. Sam.
Yusuf, how are you?
Very well. Good to see you again. I know you've been listening. But in the words of a classical economist like David Ricardo, he said trade allows nations to share resources, innovations, and of course, efficiency. Don't you think the path that America is taking is going to be extremely destructive in the long run?
No, I mean, not even in the long run. Right now, it's destructive because in the past 2 weeks, the global market has lost about $5 trillion. Eurobond has crashed, and there's pandemonium all over the place. So, of course, it is there. Now, no tariffs are actually updated ways of trading because we to be in the era of protectionism, where countries protected their own industries and all that. But it opened up into global market or globalization or liberalization. That, of course, like Ricardo said, the core thing is efficiency. It brought about competitive edge, which means that the things I can produce more efficiently, cheaper, you don't need to do it. So with free border, free trading, it led to the exponential growth of global market. But with this new trade war, and nobody actually wins a trade war, there are huge implications for the countries, because tariff essentially is a tax. And tax means that the cost of purchasing any item from the grocery store, from everywhere, increases. It diminishes your disposable income, and then lowers the life standard, quality of life in the country. Now, I understand why someone like Trump is doing that. He thinks that tariff will discourage Americans from buying foreign things. Therefore, they can look inside to begin to produce them. And also, for companies, for countries that want to do trade with America, they should come and manufacture and produce in America. That is goal. But a lot of repercussions across the globe.
Indeed, a lot of repercussions across the globe. Tell us, you are in London. How are they taking this, imposition of tariff by America? UK is a very good ally of the United States. How are they taking this? Are they planning to retaliate in a way?
It came as a shock because we tried to woo Trump by giving a letter to the king recently, and we thought that thing will not come. But like the Prime Minister said recently, they are taking a sensible and conscious approach into how they are going to respond to the tariff. Of course, UK was slapped with a 10% tariff, and they are planning together. It is not something you do in a hurry. You have to deliberately plan it so that you don't disrupt the whole thing. And also depend upon the trade balance between the two countries. But for sure, they are putting together their own tariffs on American goods.
Indeed. Let me come back to the studio. Mala Aliyu, there is a Nobel laureate who says, his name is Paul Krugman. He did say that he warned that trade protectionism, while seemingly beneficial, is seductive but dangerous policy. Do you think America is trading a very dangerous path that will have implication on their economy? In the long run, I did say, but my guess did say it's already happening.
Obviously, because beyond the even Trump administration, they are going to pay the price over time, because now you are exposing other countries to other processes of doing things, especially when you are protecting your own. They also think about it that, okay, in that case, we also look at our own and establish our own. Now, if you are doing trade protectionism with Africa, it's better. If you are doing with Asia, it's better, but you are doing it with that global community, even Canada, that's very, very close. So definitely they are going
next door neighbor.
They're going through a dangerous path, because you cannot have everything perfectly. You know, that's what we say, you know, you trade some things and you have to get something. There's always opportunity cost. So in this one, opportunity cost of it is that people will now have to get alternative. And when they get alternative, they will definitely not patronize you. And that's what I said about BRICS. Now, BRICS will now have opportunity of looking at how they can actually trade with people, you know, with a better condition. That would have a negative effect on American economy.
Indeed. Mr. Wilson, do you think, is it wrong for Trump to, implement policies that will protect his people? It's part of his campaign slogan, American First.
Trump is a businessman. He has been. He is not your regular politician. And he believes that government should be run like a business. It is what you give me for what I give you. And he has a strategy. Trump believes in negotiation. He throws at you what he wants. If you are wise enough, you come, let's negotiate. And while we are negotiating, I can ask for other things I want. I might want 2 cars. I can tell you I want 10 cars. And then we negotiate. Maybe you offer me 3. So this is where diplomatic expertise come in. People who understand trade at the top level can negotiate on behalf of your country. And of course, you can see the intent. We want to make you come and manufacture in our country. Why? They have the infrastructure, they have the legal framework, and they have everything you need in order to do it. It's just that over time, they have kept on moving towards improving the right of the employee, improving the right of the consumer, improving the benefit derived from this business to the government, and over time became too costly to manufacture in the United States. So companies started moving to other countries like China, India, and the rest to manufacture and then bring it back to America. So what he's saying is that you are exporting our jobs. Bring it back to us. We will buy your goods. Only you have to manufacture here.
Absolutely.
Now, and America have what it takes to also crash this condition to a favorable situation. One thing America knows, and that Donald Trump knows better than all of us, is that most of this country don't have what it takes to take alternative route immediately. They need at least 4, 5, 10 years to take this alternative route. What are you going to be surviving on while you are working on this? So Trump knows that they will come back shivering and begging to negotiate. And that's what he's doing. He's a businessman.
Indeed, he's a businessman. Let me go back to Dr. Male. Dr. Male, my guest here did say that America, in a way, is trying to box some countries around the world into a corner because as at currently, many of them have nothing to rely upon now because it's going to take them a while, like he did said, for them to re-strategize. What do you think Nigeria can learn from this? If you go to the streets of Nigeria, you see Toyota's cars everywhere, Mercedes, BMWs, all vehicles that were not made in Nigeria here. Many of them were exported into Nigeria. What do you think Nigeria can do to some of these manufacturers as a way? Maybe we should begin to think of, introducing our own import duty as well, that will push some of these companies into coming to Nigeria to begin to manufacture here.
You can only do that at your peril. If you increase your tariff, for example, one of the things we import from America, can you imagine, is wheat. If you put any tariff on wheat, the cost of bread will just jump up. And in a country where 60% of people are already hungry, you can't do that. So the implication is that if you retaliate, do you have the capacity to absorb in the now? Because the immediate impact of, let's take crude oil, for example. If Nigeria adds a 14% on crude oil of $100, the price in America becomes 100 to the refinery in America would be $114. What does that mean? America would demand less of Nigerian crude oil, and Nigerian impact on revenue will plunge down. And in a situation where we have high inflation in Nigeria already, weak naira, and high unemployment, any form of retaliation will crash down the economy even faster. Nigeria used to be, in those days, we used to have pan in Kaduna. We have this something in Bauchi that used to produce tractors. We used to have Volkswagen in Lagos. And the idea then when we were in school was totally knocked down parts. They were talking about a fractional imports of items that will be used to manufacture these things. Somehow we crashed from that point and now to zero level production or to very minimal level of production. So the way out definitely, of course, is to industrialize, is to build our infrastructure, is to begin to produce things, but it depends. We have to also lower our taste focus. Burkina Faso is doing it already. They are closing local international markets and are staying at home. Wheat can be produced in Kano, can produce anywhere in Nigeria. We don't need to import wheat at all. I'm a farmer. We don't need wheat at all. I'm surprised that wheat is one of the major things we import from. And you know that Nigeria also import refined oil from America. It doesn't even make sense. I don't even know how that works. You export crude and you import refined oil. So what to put our governance, put our business economic policy in the right perspectives. Putting tariffs back will only crash us. We should look for that. Now, crude oil is, I'm looking at the market now, crude oil is $60-something, which is a blow already. It will impact on our budget. I think our budget was predicted on $70 or something. So we need to sit down properly and develop a major economic policy that will take into consideration the totality of all of these happenings around the world. We need to expand, I think like your guests have also said, expand our production level capacity, that we don't need to import so many things. We need to expand also our trade partnership with Asia, with India, and with China, and also, like one of your guests also said, to the African continent. That way, we'll be able to cope with the onslaught. But right now, we're fighting from a weak position.
Indeed. Let me ask you this, Dr. Sam. By imposing this tariff, do you see the U.S. risking limiting the economic benefit it derives from trading with Nigeria? Is there any way to limit the kind of benefit they get from Nigeria in terms of trade?
Well, Nigeria has a surplus deficit, which means Nigeria export more than they import, which is, I find it very, very strange. America also, and the major export, 70% of export we do to America is crude. Guess what? America has more crude oil than anywhere than Nigeria. So if they want, they can just drill. And Trump is about drill. So he wants to drill. That's the whole essence. And also they can go to alternative places like Latin America and to the Middle East to get their crude oil. So America has nothing actually to lose in imposing these things to Nigeria. I can tell you that, because they have other ways of getting their crude oil. In any case, this war has already reduced the price of crude. And that's where the problem. And Nigerians, having predicated their budget largely 75% or so on crude, we have a problem.
Indeed. Let me come back to the studio. Mr. Aliyu, let me come to you there. There have been warning already from WTO, the World Trade Organization. They warned that the emphasis was actually the repercussion of escalating trade tension there. What do you think can be done to mitigate that? Because many countries are coming out to retaliate, by imposing, their own tariff as well on U.S. goods. Do you think this is the right way to go? WTO is calling for caution.
Right. I think I'd like to just go with what Dr. Mali talked about, UK, that they are trying to tarry to an extent to see the way they actually put their own, is it to fight back or to hold on? So I think the global community need to just tarry a bit to see what actually happens. Because if we go by, you give me, I give you, it will now become who will now suffer it. And I think Africa will suffer it the more. Because if this tariff continue, the trade tariff war continues like this, it simply means that if some country will be at disadvantage, while country like US, Russia, you can say Russia is even in war. I have a friend in Moscow. He said we don't even know there is war in Moscow because it does not even reflect in the cost of living. Exactly. It doesn't reflect, because that simply means that they have that shock absorber to actually meet up. So it simply means that those that have the shock absorber will be able to meet. Because if you recall, even China is a third trading partner to America. Absolutely. So, and China is being slammed with 34%. So imagine if China also give back I think they have even also given back at 34%. So it won't give world a serious challenge. But at the face of war, some people also benefit. It is those people that are prepared enough that can benefit. So in the case of Nigeria, we are not even industrialized. So thanks to Dangote, that is even giving us some level of balance of payment and balance of trade. Without someone like, I think it will be total collapse for Nigeria. So I think we need to just look at our own side and take advantage of what we can do.
Indeed, Mr. Wilson, he talked about industrialization. Nigeria is a country, we keep talking about economic diversification for a very, very long time. It doesn't seem there's any mechanism in place to achieve that. You only rely on crude oil. Over 92% of our government expenditure comes from crude oil. Do you think we have what it takes at this point? Is there any immediate policy that can be introduced for Nigeria to begin to see how we can begin to manufacture even what we can consume here, apart from the regular food, even the clothing that we wear? Many of our textile industries, from Lagos to Kaduna to Ibadan and so many other places, are still in comatose. Many of them cannot even be resuscitated. So many lip services have been paid to that over the years. Do you think there's something that can be done in the immediate for us to be able to get back on where we can survive before eventually, settling in, or taking this tariff has been imposed by the U.S.?
Honestly, as you were asking the question, my mind was running everywhere to try to see what I think can be maybe a sort of a master stroke that can ease the situation at the moment. And to be sincere, I don't think I found any. When you talk industrialization, it starts with the hard fixed infrastructure. That's the foundation of industrialization. To industrialize, you have to produce raw material in sufficient quantity. Then you have to have power supply. Then you have to have the relevant human resources or human capital. Then you have to have the relevant transportation network. Then you have to have predictable policies. Then you have to have a strong judiciary that can adjudicate disputes coming from trade, industrial issues, market issues, and all of these things. If you look at these basic ones now, you would already know that we are disadvantaged. Our road infrastructure arbitration. Is poor. Our rail has been comatose. The former two administration did something. This administration is currently doing something, but it's not enough for a country with a huge deficit like Nigeria. We need to be on our toe, doubling down. But we seem to be very lackadaisical. In fact, I was coming this morning and I was already seeing poster of support group for the president 2027. We're in 2025. We have already gone back to politics. We are beginning to get distracted from governance. So it doesn't seem like a people that are ready. What is our power generation today? Transmission and distribution as of today. We have plenty of sun. What is the government policy on solar for household in order to free the little we are generating for industries? What is our judiciary like?
That's a very key point.
Are you very confident today to take a case to court in Nigeria? And if you take a case that involves business to court in Nigeria today, are you sure you can get a reasonable judgment within the next 12 months? And you know in business, time is money. Every decision has to be made timely. So there are several issues that time will not allow us to point at. And if you look at it, the obvious answer is no, we are not ready. And this will force us to go back to them, even cap in hand. And I will tell you, issue of the crude that we sell, we have also, I don't know, maybe I'm the one misunderstanding it, but it would look like the government is even fighting those that have started building refinery over here and trying to frustrate them out. And I wonder, if I am an investor out there, would I come and plant my refinery in Nigeria? What are you doing to encourage me? You know, and we have a huge deficit in the market for the refined products, from diesel to petrol to kerosene to even the bitumen and all those other things that we use here. Why does it seem that the government policy is not even pampering these people? I'm not saying investors to the detriment of the consumer, but in a way that seems to be helping your economy. I don't see that. The agricultural push by the previous administration, at least we were able to achieve self-sustainability in rice production. The next stage would have been efficiency in rice production. People were talking at that time, we are producing it here, why is it costly? And I told them, we have poor seeds, we have poor agricultural practices, we have deficit in mechanization, we have land issues, we have this, and I told them, we should now double down on fixing this issue to reduce prices. But what have we done? We have abandoned agriculture. Insecurity has even eaten it. We have the insecurity in the northeast.
Let me bring in
to northwest.
Absolutely. Let me bring in.
A lot of people can't.
Let me bring in Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu, he talked about infrastructure. You were nodding your head there when he was speaking with regards to that. Of course, it's a very key issue. He also made mention about issues around investment in agriculture. We started last year. Under the past government, fairly well, but it does appear that we've thrown away that policy.
Well, we are not a serious country, and I will give you an example of China. Are you aware that a Chinese company is being followed from this country to our country, and they make sure that they succeed? And how they do it? There's a true free trade zone. Imagine a Chinaman, a Chinese company, executing his business in a free trade zone. What does that simply mean? That simply means that there's an enabler that allows them to actually perform. So for us to move as a country, we need infrastructure. When you say infrastructure, there's a lot of things under that we can't even finish discussing. But by and large, if Nigeria wants Nigerian to grow, Nigerian companies to grow, you see our NPR. Do you know how much it is? Interest rates. Can you go to bank and borrow for that? You want to borrow for business? Do you know how much you pay at Band-Aid? Do we still even get it? Do we have the? Let me talk about supply chain. To move a 40-feet container from Lagos to Kano, do you know how much it costs you? That would have discouraged you in business.
Absolutely.
So we need to do more to empower our businesses in Nigeria.
Indeed, a lot needs to be done to empower local businesses. Dr. Omale, you hear my guests in the studio. There's so much concern about the dilapidated infrastructure that we have in the country. We need to do more to empower local businesses. I mean, what will you say to Nigeria, where so much, policies and programs of government have not really been followed to the letter? Government, we say, is a continuum, but what we see, every government coming with new government policies.
Yeah, the policies at the moment and all over the year and over the years have been very discongested or disconnected. We need a policy or policy consolidation where we identify, map out what do we want to achieve, and also with timelines. We want to achieve power efficiency in 5 years. We want to achieve road network, telecommunication, those core components of infrastructure. We want to put timelines to them. But at the moment, there's so much noise all over the place. Somebody will come with agriculture, somebody will come with roads, somebody will come with power. Everybody's talking in a very disconnected fashion. And like you said, we need a continuity of policy, government policy and reforms. At the moment, we're all over the place and we cannot achieve anything.
From your point of, from where you are, you've been out for a while, and of course you see the way things are being done there. I know a lot of policymakers are also regular visitors in UK and of course other parts of the world. What do you think we can borrow from there to, fix our own economy here?
It's the basic, that's the simplest things. Like one of your guests says, the enabling environment, period. Enabling environment is what attracts investors to a place. And what constitutes enabling environment? Infrastructure, rule of law, human capital development, experts, and security. So that if you provide an enabling environment, people will drop in. Nigeria is a virgin place. Nigeria is a virgin place, and people have tons of money. There's so much money here because an interest rate is 1%, 2%, not even 2%. So they want to bring this money in. But of course, they need to be secured. They need to produce at a lower cost, and they need hands, labor, effective labor that can work in this place. But if they come, they don't see it. Our educational facility is not fit for purpose. We are graduating, we are putting grads out that don't have any skill at all. And there's no, so it's a difficult thing. So what happens, the difference between, I keep saying, the difference between developed economy and developed economy is infrastructure. I mean, if you give me power, if you give me telecommunication, you give me good, I can dwell anywhere in the world. So these are the things we should focus on. First thing first. There's too much jamboree going around. There's too much spending on politics that is not that will be channeled. We need to manage our resources efficiently. We need to reduce the cost of governance and develop and have a judiciary that is trusted. We need security that guarantees the life and property in a place. Once this is done, people will come in. There's no magic about it. So these are the things you don't play politics with. Enabling environment is the core thing for industrial development or economic development in any place.
Indeed, Doctor. Let me come to the studio and give my guest 10 seconds at least. Mr. Ali, let me start from you. Enabling business environment. You're a businessman yourself. How would you rate our current business landscape in 30 seconds?
Right. From the myriad of things that we need to survive by ourselves, I think we may be around 35%. we can even push to 50%. That would have given us more opportunity, especially for basic infrastructure and access to funds.
Indeed. Mr. Wilson, are you as generous as Malali?
I don't have time. I have 10 seconds, you said. So let me say the 35%, but I tell you it's lower than that, because if you look at the ease of doing business indicators, and you begin to analyze them one by one, you will see that the last administration did very well in terms of ease of registering a business. But that's just about it. As a small business, okay, if you need to pay your tax now, how do you do it? Very difficult. I want to pay tax.
All right.
I have to go and pay somebody to come and do my auditing. Then I go to the tax office.
A lot of, so much bureaucracy there attached to that. We need to go.
I am forced to give the 35%.
We need to go now. I must thank you. Wisin Agama is a business analyst, and of course, Aliu Elias is an economist as well. And of course, Dr. Sam Omale, President CEO Raw Global Investment Network, speaking to us all the way from London, the United Kingdom. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time on Business Daily today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogu.